to calm down.
Alright.
Okay.
Quiet conversation episode, I don't know.
Alright,
And action.
Oh, thank you. Alright, greetings everyone. My name is Avela. Mrna Mbono. I'm originally from the Eastern Cape, Kwambiza, but now I'm based here in Littleton, Centurion. So today I'd like to explain how the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine works. I see there's a lot of rumor around it. In fact, wise people say that it is much easier to fool a person than to convince a person that they've been fooled. A lot of people have been fooled with all the rumors and opinions by people about this COVID-19 thing. So before I start with the COVID-19 thing, I will just make simple illustrations on the board behind me. So we know that in the living body, you have what we call a cell. Now inside the cell, there's a nucleus. So the nucleus is like the HQ of the cell. It's the headquarters. That's where the planning and everything that's going to happen is being done. So now I'm going to zoom out on my nucleus. I'll take the nucleus out. Now inside the nucleus, there's what we call the DNA. So DNA is double-stranded, meaning it's just got those strands that are joined together by the bases like your A, G, C, and T. But now this is not how a nucleus a DNA looks. I've just made a simple one. In normal, DNA is twisted, so it would look something more like this. If I were to actually make one that's showing, I'm not very good in drawing, but I'm just trying to illustrate something twisted. So I hope it makes sense. So it's twisted, the DNA. So in the DNA, if something has to happen, let's say maybe have an injury, there are proteins that need to be made in the body. Even now as I speak, my body is making proteins. So the instruction will be from the HQ. Just like in a company, you know, though there are industries that are run by that company, the decisions are taken in the HQ, then they are taken to the plant. That's where the work is being done. Now, mind you, this is the cell. Inside the cell is a nucleus. There are other organelles like your ribosomes, there's your cytoplasm, your Golgi apparatus, and all those. But for now, I just want us to focus on the nucleus because that's where the DNA is. Now, in DNA, there's something called transcription. Now, when I speak of transcription, just imagine if at home you have a satellite dish. There is the dish there, sitting outside your home. It's receiving signal from space, from a satellite from space. So now let's assume that this is our DNA, the satellite itself. Okay, I'm going to wipe this off and then I move to another part as I continue to explain. Alright, if it was on TV, maybe it was going to be that time where we start to play an ad for you. But never mind. I'm already back. Okay, now hope you have everything. Now remember I said in the cell there's that DNA. Right? Now I remember I told that DNA is double-stranded, and in its double-strandedness, it's twisted. Now let's say this DNA wants to send a message to say that, look, this guy has injured his skin, you need to rebuild those skin proteins. I'm just making a lay example so that everyone can understand. So what's going to happen is there's what we call mRNA. So mRNA will be produced. mRNA is like a messenger. A messenger goes to the HQ, is given the information, then he has to go and deliver it elsewhere. Now this is inside the nucleus. The mRNA will copy whatever information that is being given there that's complementary to it. And then once it has been given instruction, it will move out of the nucleus. Now remember we said we're in a cell. So it will move out of the nucleus where the DNA is kept into the cytoplasm. Now remember the cell, this is the nucleus, then this around here will be what you call your cytoplasm. Okay, now in your cytoplasm, the mRNA will be taken out. Then Now remember, DNA has got coded information. So in order for you to understand that information, you need to decode the information. Remember, I showed you the dish. The satellite dish takes information from space, and then the dish takes it and then it sends it to the decoder. Then the decoder decodes the information. Now the mRNA, in its nature, it always consists of 3 bases per time. I'm just making something very simple so that I do not prolong this thing for long. Now, the information from the DNA, it comes in pairs of 3, based on the basis of the DNA. Now, this is the information, the mRNA. Now, mRNA by virtue must move out of the nucleus. It's like a messenger. It doesn't stay in HQ. It's just given information to move out. So when it moves out to the cytoplasm, we will have something that we now call your decoder in the house. The decoder taking information from the satellite dish outside. So what happens is this guy will come, there's plenty of them, we'll call them tRNA. Now the tRNAs, remember this one is mRNA, messenger RNA, the tRNAs will come, it's something like this, not necessarily knife, I've simplified it. When it comes, it has got 3 things that it reads with. We call them the codons, meaning it's going to read 1, 2, 3, the information there. So whenever, let's say maybe this one carries A, it will just, okay, I'm making protein A, and then this one reads that. The next one is carrying protein B, then it will make protein B. Then they will continue and add up together and make a chain. And now they will make a protein. That's how a protein is made. Just to summarize this part of the DNA, remember there's a DNA inside the nucleus of a cell. Inside the nucleus of a cell, that's where your DNA is. And then the DNA will be transcribed, meaning information will be copied from the DNA into an mRNA. mRNA will take the information from the HQ, which is within the nucleus of the cell, into the cytoplasm outside the cell. Outside the cell, that's where the factory is. It will be read by the tRNAs. The tRNAs will read the genetic code on the mRNA and decode it. When it decodes it, it's going to make a protein out of it. Now let's get to the vaccine.
Another moment for advertising.
Yeah, another moment for ad, but the ad is not there. It's fine. Now, things like viruses, so they've got DNA, they've got what we call RNA. Most viruses, they've got RNA. Some RNA is double-stranded. Now, the difference between RNA and DNA is that DNA is deoxygenated. RNA is oxygenated, meaning the other one does not have oxygen. The other one has oxygen. Now, viruses have got RNA. A few of them have got DNA as well. Now, on the DNA, remember I said that there is genetic information. So we can say maybe this is our DNA. I've made it simple. I didn't make it a double helical structure and all that. So let's say this is about 55 base pairs, né? And yeah, we start from 0 here. So there's going to be 10,
what are base pairs?
20, 30. It's the size of the DNA. Okay. Remember, it's bases that are paired. So let's say, assume it's the size of the DNA. Okay. 40, 50, then that could be 55. As you can see, it's not drawn to scale. It's just for me to make an illustration. Now, on this DNA, let's assume that from 0 to 10, it's responsible for making the legs of the virus. So we call those spikes. This part, when it's decoded, it makes just the legs in the DNA, if the mRNA were to copy that part. Now let's say from 10 to 20, it makes the body, the capsule. We call it the capsule. It's the body of the virus. Now let's say from 20 to 30, it's what makes the virus to be virulent, meaning it's what gives the virus the ability to invade your immune system. You understand? Make virulence. It's what makes you sick in the virus, actually. So on and so forth, maybe 30 to 40, we can say that it's for replication of the virus, for the virus to be able to multiply itself once it's inside the body. Now, this is the RNA of the virus. That's how the virus works. Remember, also when the virus multiplies, it uses the same system of an mRNA to make the proteins. Now, with the mRNA vaccine, what we do is we take a part of the virus.
So the mRNA vaccine, is it every vaccine?
No. There's a lot of vaccine. You have your live animated, you've got your killed or inactivated vaccine, you've got your vector vaccines, you've got your recombinant vaccines. This one is the mRNA vaccine.
So the mRNA vaccine, is that if we're looking at the vaccines that we have now, we have your J&J and we have your Pfizer. Which one?
mRNA is Pfizer. It's Pfizer for now.
Okay.
Yes, I'll also speak about the J&J,
okay,
which is the vector vaccine. Okay. Yeah, I'll also speak on that, but now let's just focus on the mRNA because it's the one that I think is out there in abundance. And the rumor that's there anyway is about DNA, so that's why I want to speak about mRNA mostly. Now, when they make the vaccine, they make an mRNA vaccine. Now, that vaccine is inoculated on your shoulder. So on your shoulder, it goes to the cells of the body. So when it gets to the cells of the body, because it's an mRNA, the tRNA, remember the tRNA in the body, will now copy the information of the mRNA because they are messengers. Now they'll start copy it and translate it. It's what we call translation, and start making proteins. But now when they make those proteins will give you the leg of the virus. It's what we call spikes. If you look at the coronavirus, most of the time they throw it something like this with many spikes around it. You see. So what you are actually inoculated with, what they inject into you, it's mRNA that's going to make only this part of the virus. When this guy decodes the information, he's decoding it just to make the legs of the virus. So once it has made enough, it will destroy the mRNA. Once the tRNA has read, remember, it's like a stem that sits here in trees, and then every time 3 things come here, then it reads, oh, it's A, then it makes A, then it moves to the next one. The next one will move in here. When it moves in, it's also read, oh, this one will make a B, then it makes a B. So those proteins, when they come, the amino acids, when they come, they build a protein that will give you the legs of the vaccine, of the virus. Now, once it has made enough, it gets released in the body. And the body realizes, no man, this is wrong. This particle is foreign to me. Now, remember when I made those size of the virus, I said from 0 to 10, let's assume that it only makes just the legs. Maybe from 30 to 40, it makes the virulence of the vaccine. Meaning it's not going to make anything virulent. It's just going to make the legs. So when it gets to the body, we have cells that are called macrophages and dendritic cells. Those cells will eat up those legs. And then after eating them, they will take them to more specialized cells in the body to say, look, we found this foreign particle in the body. Make more of it. So it's like it's a general soldier, just a normal soldier and a casual soldier who sees an enemy and then goes to someone higher in authority and say, look, I've got this guy, he's an invader in the body. Do something about it. And then the guy will send information to say that, bring me more soldiers that can kill this guy. And those soldiers, we call them antibodies. Antibodies are shaped something like this, like it's a Y shape. So maybe the antibody will come and attach like this to the spikes or the legs of the virus. Now, once something is coated by antibodies, immune cells will come and destroy. It's like it's marked for destruction. So immune cells will come and destroy. So what happens now? They give you the virus, they inject you with the legs of the virus or the spikes of the virus, and then the virus starts making those legs inside your body. Your immune system attacks those legs and kills them, and then produces what we call memory cells that will remember the virus should it come back again. Now let's say you are vaccinated, you are happy, you've been laughing, you got all the doses, and then 5 months down the line, you contract COVID-19, the real COVID-19. Now, when the real COVID-19 comes, remember, it has got those spikes that it uses to get into the body. Now the real COVID-19 it comes to your cell. So how the cell usually comes to your body, it gets to a surface. On the surface, it will look for something that's complementary to its structure. We call it a surface receptor. So it will attach to that surface. Okay, allow me to make this leg very long. It will attach to this surface. Once it attaches to this surface with its legs, it's going to release the DNA. Oh no, the RNA in this case, the RNA into this living cell. And then the RNA will start attaching itself and will produce that mRNA, and it will produce more viruses. But because you are vaccinated, when the body sees that leg of the virus, because it's the same leg of the real virus, it's just that this time around, the actual DNA of the virus is there, meaning it has got those things that code for virulence, those things that code for replication, for it to multiply inside the body. Then the body will attack that thing because they are soldiers that were trained to say, look, you alone, you are going to face that enemy and target that enemy. So immediately that virus comes, the antibodies will be produced in numbers. Your B lymphocytes, which are responsible for producing those antibodies, will have memory ones that are waiting for that guy to come. When they come, they are just activated and they destroy that guy. So depending on a person's immunity. But if you are vaccinated, when the real virus comes, you won't suffer severe consequences as when you are not vaccinated, because it's now you are prepared for the enemy. You know, when you are prepared for someone to come, a thief, at least you will put everything in order. But if a thief comes while you're not expecting, they might mess up, or an enemy may come, they might mess you up. So the vaccine will give us those legs. There's nothing virulent about the legs. They are just a foreign particle in the body. They might give you a headache, they might give you pain or discomfort, but they are not as virulent as the machinery in the DNA that's responsible to cause a virus inside your body. So when you are vaccinated, the body will quickly recognize those legs, and then it's going to destroy them. So if you are vaccinated, you stand a better chance of survival. And also, depending on other people's immune system, some might suffer a mild disease as compared to when there was no vaccine at all. So that's how the mRNA vaccine works.
Okay. And then now, what happens when you put on the other vaccine, the J&J vaccine?
Okay, J&J vaccine, it's a vector vaccine. Okay, it works more or less the same, but it's not necessarily the same thing. Let me just explain that to you as well. So in J&J, let me first go back to DNA again. So in DNA, there's something that they call recombinant DNA. Let's make, for instance, let's say there was a fish that stays in Antarctica. And that fish can stay in cold water and ice without suffering any severe effects of the winter. So we'll go to that fish species and look at its DNA. And then we see that, okay, on the base pairs of the fish, of the DNA of the fish, actually number 25 makes it resistant to cold. Now we go and we take that DNA, of course we maximize it, and we look at its structure. Let's say now the structure of that DNA, of course I'm simplifying everything, is A, B, B, A, right? ABA. Now we say, oh, this ABA in this DNA is the one that's making this fish survive in water. So what we do, we go, okay, I'm a farmer here in South Africa, I want to increase my product of maize because there's too many people, everyone wants a maize meal. So I go and say maize can only grow in this period of the year and it cannot survive winter. So we understand because it needs about 120 dry period. So I go to my maize seed and say, okay, maize seed, you've got your DNA, but inside your DNA, I can cut here, open, and I cut open. Once I cut open, I add that ABA gene. You see? I add the ABA gene. Now the ABA gene can work. You see? I put it in my maize. Now my maize can grow in winter too. Why? Because it has got a gene that's resistant to the cold temperatures. So that's how they do vector. So normally they will take a DNA and then put it in something that replicates very fast, something like bacteria. Then the bacteria will make more and more of those genes. Then the bacteria is killed, and then we just harvest the DNA on that bacteria. Now, moving along here, now to explain the Johnson & Johnson. So in Johnson & Johnson, there's a virus, but the virus is not COVID-19. You know, in your body, there are viruses that are there, but they're not virulent. It's just their nature. They are just occupying your body, just like there are some bacteria. So we'll take this virus. Maybe let the virus have some corners this time around. Something that doesn't happen. Viruses are usually around helical or polyhelical, yeah. So I will take this virus, right? Now on this virus, like I said, we go to the COVID-19 virus, right? Now on the DNA of the COVID-19 virus, remember I said there are those base pairs. We say, oh, okay, this part is responsible for making the body of the COVID-19, just this part. It's making the body, the surface of the COVID-19, this part. Now let me mark it red so that we can see. So now we take that portion of that virus, we come and we implant it in this virus. You see, let me just use a different color so that we can see that virus. Okay, there we go. Now let's assume we incorporated that one, the red one here. We incorporate it there. Now what's going to happen is, once this virus has infected a person, it gets to the cell, it will get to a point whereby now its DNA is told that, okay, multiply the cell. When this virus multiplies, it will multiply also that foreign DNA or that foreign RNA of the COVID-19. Then it will multiply it. So when it's time for it to start building proteins, it will produce that surface molecule. It will start producing that wall of the COVID-19. So when the body starts attacking this virus, it will take the body of this virus and also take those foreign proteins. You see those foreign proteins. It will also recognize them, just like I said earlier, and then it will go, the macrophages or the dendritic cells, the normal immune cells, what we call the innate immunity, will go and present it to the specialized cells. Then the specialized cells will go manufacture more antibodies and also more of the soldiers that will be able to attack and keep them in their memory. So the next time you are infected by the COVID-19, of course the antibodies, when they attach, because this thing is an antigen, an antibody maybe would come and attach here on the body here, may attach on the leg, because these are the foreign components of this virus. So it will attach on that, and that's what will happen. So the difference, because this one is a vector vaccine, they take something that's being made by COVID-19, they plant it in a different virus that is not virulent like COVID-19. So when this virus replicates and multiplies, it multiplies that component of COVID-19. So of course it's a virus as well, it's not virulent. The body will attack this virus, and it also attacks those components of the virus that are being made by the virus and its DNA.
Okay.
That's one.
So which vaccine is safer to take then?
Okay, both vaccines are safe to take. None of these vaccines goes to the DNA. Like I said earlier, it's mRNA. Now you can imagine, if the information is from a satellite dish, it goes to a decoder, right? Now it never goes back from the decoder. The decoder doesn't feed satellite dish with information. It's a satellite dish that feeds the decoder, and then whatever you see in your TV appears on the screen. So it's the same thing. The messenger RNA is only just there to get information on the DNA. After the information has been transcribed to it, it is sent out for translation. It's like a plane. A plane is drawn in the office, and then when you go to the site, that's where you build the plane. Now you don't take the building and go build it in the office. It doesn't happen like that. So there is no such thing that the COVID-19 will go and alter your DNA or all that. There are things that alter DNA, like being exposed to chemicals or extreme sunlight, those things that make you carcinogenic. Then the things that have got the ability to change your DNA, then they will change your body. I mean, the people of health, the scientists, the reason why they go through all these researches is because they want to improve humanity. You understand? So now people who are just lay people, they just want to confuse people, they confuse people and people because they don't know where to go. They actually take the information. I know a lot of people who are educated, people who studied these things at school, that don't want to take the vaccine just because they saw something on social media or something. Now we tell you that that person maybe studied to secure a fancy job that uses big words, you understand, but not actually apply it. It's the same thing about blood donations. People don't want to donate blood, but I know they studied the importance of blood donations and all that. So, to my own understanding, I think some people just do things to secure a job or, you understand, just to get a fancy title and all that. But when it comes to reality, they don't practice it.
And then other people will have questions like, why is the vaccine only given to the people by the government? Why can't it be given by my own medical doctor who knows what my medical ailments are and what could affect me with taking the vaccine?
No, unfortunately, that question is outside of science. I'm just explaining science, how science works. So how the government and everyone else, all I know is that whether it's from a government, it's from a doctor, it works in the same principle. But I cannot explain then why the powers not being given to them. I'm just giving you a simple science principle on how this thing works.
Okay. And then what about the all those theories of the vaccine having a microchip and 4G and 5G and all that? Is that true?
No,
it's not bringing in microchips.
No. It's not true. Like I said in my opening words, it is easier to fool a person than to convince a person they've been fooled. You understand? I know maybe people believe in the 666 and the chip and everything. What you are being injected with, if the biological substance is completely biological, there's no metal there, meaning there's no microchip there.
Okay, and then you do get people that that have been using what's it called, ivermectin or something like that.
Ivermectin.
Yeah, ivermectin.
Yes.
Yeah. What problems does it cause?
No, remember, ivermectin it's recommended, but it's usually used to treat parasites in the body. But now it has proved to be working against COVID-19, but we don't know the mechanism that it's using. Remember, after all, we're human beings. We find beings on Earth. We just know what has been revealed to us. That's why there's always research going on. We are not perfect in all these things, but we are definitely sure of one thing, that there's no chip in the vaccine. The vaccine is good to take. Yes, it will give you those side effects, like you feel pain in the inoculation site. You will feel some headache. Some people maybe can get nauseous. Remember, we are different people who don't experience things the same way. You can be in the same place or eat the same food, and then the other one is with a running stomach, the other one doesn't get a running stomach, but you drank the same thing. You understand? Just like 2 weeks back, I went with a friend hiking. He tested positive for COVID-19. I don't have COVID-19. You understand? So there are other things that are just beyond our understanding that we cannot really explain why. But this one, we are sure about that. This is the vaccine. This is how it works. And the other thing is, people will say, yeah, well, my friend went to get vaccinated. After a week, she died. Yes, it's possible. But remember, in a factory, if information has been sent, it doesn't mean that the factory will build 1 billion cars or 1 million cars in an instant. The body must first fight with the vaccine and then it starts producing. It may take a couple of weeks before the immune system is fully made up. So if by the time you vaccinated today and tomorrow you contact COVID-19, then it won't give the body enough time to make those cells. Remember, the virus replicates faster than the body. If I would use a simple thing, yeast, it's not a virus, but at least because it's small, it's something that most people can relate to. The reason why bread rises is because the yeast inside there is multiplying. So it multiplies in minutes. To 8 minutes are generations. So in the body, for the body cells to respond to that, it takes time because it's a very complex process, and they need to make sure that they make an antibody that's specific to that capsule or to that spike of the virus. Yes.
Okay, so that's perfect. And then going back to the ivermectin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If what problems does it cause? Basically,
no, I'm not sure about ivermectin. Maybe someone who knows more about pharmacy, then I'm not a specialist in that field. Maybe they can explain it better. You understand? Yeah. But I mean, people have been doing some weird things. Some they steam, some they do whatever. I'm not a psychologist, but I do know that psychologically, if you believe in something that is going to work, it tends to work out because you've got to believe in it. Yeah, but the psychologist maybe can explain better on that phenomenon.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Am I allowed to call you Dr. Mbono?
Not yet. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So you've studied you're studying medicine right now.
Yes.
Okay, and then what did you study before?
I studied BSc in physiology and biochemistry.
Oh,
I studied biomedical technology.
Yeah.
It's actually now called medical laboratory sciences, which makes me a medical laboratory scientist. Yes. I studied immunology, which is the subject here. I studied immunology, so I know how the immune system works and how it responds. I also have a BTech honors in molecular biology. So molecular biology, that's the stuff where we study the DNA and everything.
And what other natural stuff, actually, what other natural products can people use to boost up as well the vaccine?
Nah, I don't want to lie. I'm not sure about that. Like I said, I just want to explain the science or the biology of the body. That's one thing I am sure and I know about. Remember, things that people take may not act the same way. Like I said, I may drink milk, I may not have a problem. You may drink milk, you may have a running stomach the whole day. So I don't want to say something that works for this person, it doesn't work for another person. Just like with the bacteria and everything. Some prefer oxygen, some do not prefer oxygen. So I don't want to put myself in a corner about something that I'm not sure about.
Okay. Well, then thank you very much, sir. And I hope you have yourself a good day ahead. And thank you very much for the information.
Thank you. Same to you, sir.
Quiet Conversations with L. Jackson Prosper. We out. Peace.